Evermore Park should have worked. And yet, Evermore Park ultimately failed. Today, I want to break down Evermore Park in Pleasant Grove, Utah. Not as internet drama, but as a real estate development case study. What worked, what didn't, and what developers should actually learn from it. Evermore Park was a live-action immersive fantasy park. Think Renaissance Fair, immersive theater, and themed environments combined. Guests didn't just sit in line waiting to ride a ride. They interacted with actors, evolving storylines and fantasy worlds. From a development perspective, this was experiential real estate at its finest. The park was built, it operated, and it was legally allowed. So from a development filter standpoint, the physically possible and legally permissible boxes were checked. The problem wasn't whether Evermore could exist. The problem was whether it could survive as a business. On paper, there are positives. Population growth, family-oriented communities, and proximity to Salt Lake and Utah Valley. But here's the core issue. This was a destination-level concept placed in a non-destination market. People don't travel to Utah County for fantasy immersion like they would in Orlando, Florida. That means Evermore had to pull visitors intentionally every single time. And that gets expensive. Here's where we get into the financial feasibility. To my understanding, most guests would visit Evermore once or twice per year. It was novel. It was interesting. And it was memorable, but it wasn't something families or casual visitors would do monthly or even quarterly. In many cases, people wouldn't return until the next season. That creates a major revenue problem. The only demographic that showed strong repeat behavior were D&D players, LARPing fans, and hardcore fantasy enthusiasts. They loved Evermore. But there's an issue from a real estate standpoint. They are not a high-paying customer base. They revisit often, but they don't spend heavily on food, merchandise, or premium experiences. This means high engagement, but low dollars. And that's a dangerous combination for a high overhead project. In addition, Evermore had enormous fixed costs, such as live actors, costumes and makeup, set maintenance, creative teams, and store development. Unlike traditional real estate, this wasn't a build once, operate forever. It required constant content production just to stay relevant. From a financial standpoint, Evermore wasn't a real estate play. It was an entertainment company disguised as a property. And entertainment businesses live and die by attendance consistency, spending per visitor, and repeatability. Evermore seemed to struggle with all three. This leads to the most important developer question. What is the highest and best use of this land? Experiential real estate can work, but it usually needs support. Either a major tourist market, recognizable intellectual property, or hotels, retail, or residential to subsidize operations. In this, Evermore stood alone. No mixed use offset, no hospitality component, and no corporate IP partnership. All the risks sat in the park itself, making it an extremely fragile model. So here are the key takeaways. Number 1, experiential real estate is not passive. If creativity is required to keep the lights on, you're in the entertainment business. Number 2, repeat visitations matters more than novelty. Once a year customers don't pay high fixed costs. Number 3, your most loyal fans may not be your best customers. High passion doesn't always equal high spending. And number 4, standalone experiential projects are risky without mixed-use support. Real estate works best when revenue streams are stacked. Evermore Park wasn't a bad idea. It was a bold idea. But bold ideas still have to be financially feasible, supported by the right demographics, and be placed in the right market. And this brings us to where the story stands right now. The Evermore Park site, which is 12.75 acres, is no longer operating as a theme park, and the fantasy experience we just broke down has shut down. Instead, the land itself is listed for sale as a development opportunity with an asking price of about $14.5 million. There was a highly publicized effort to sell the land and reposition it as a reimagined project, something called Realmtown, but that sale fell through and ended up in a legal dispute. So today, the property sits on the market, vacant and ready for a new vision, whether that's retail, residential, office, hospitality, or something entirely different. What project should we break down next? Let me know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you're into that, and thanks for watching.